So this class is an oldie but a goodie. I've never taught it. I've heard a lot about it. It's got some older content. I don't think they've got a newer edition of it yet. I thought we could adapt it as we see fit because I think it's necessary. And initially, I think I was telling you guys, 36-12-3 was about doing the 36 touch for 12 months for 3 transactions, but in truth, it is 3 hours a day, 12 months, 36 transactions. So it goes the other way. So it is based on the lead generation tactics. And so each session, we're going to deep dive into one aspect, and it's participation. So it's not going to be just me talking. But we're just going to roll with it. And we've got the slides, and we'll just, wherever it needs to go, that's where it's going to go. But today we're talking about prospecting. And we talked a lot about it in Ignite, right? But that kind of brushes the surface of what is prospecting, right? So I'm going to start from this excerpt from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And I'm going to do a little reading for you guys, so don't go to sleep. It's on page 90. I'm starting on page 99, but it's about lead generation versus lead receiving. And I just thought it was so good. I didn't want to reword it because this is what Gary Keller said. He's a pretty smart guy. So I think we just need to pay attention. So page 99. Nothing is more important to your sales career than prospective buyers and sellers. To have a viable business, you must have the client leads. To have a business that pays you a lot of money, you need a lot of leads. Funny, but some real estate agents miss this not too subtle point and end up spending their time on other less financially rewarding activities. I can't tell you why this is, but let's be perfectly clear about it. In this book, no leads means no sales. You are in the lead generation business. Many will say, but I'm in the real estate business, to which I reply, fine, then just try staying in real estate very long without any leads. What you have to embrace is the fact that a number of qualified leads you have will either grow your business, keep you in business, or put you out of business. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. When I taught new agent sales training, I would sometimes start my class discussion on leads by asking the audience. I want you guys to think about this. If I told you there's an out-of-town buyer who just got in this morning and who will be paying cash and needs to purchase a home by the end of the week, could you help him? Everybody says, of course I would help him. Well, I can guarantee that there is a buyer getting in town today who has cash and needs to buy a new house. The problem is we don't know that person or where they are. And that is the leads challenge of real estate, where and who the buyer is. In a prosperous market, there are many agents relying on passive lead generators, casual referrals, and luck to create a business. I call this lead receiving. Unfortunately, real estate agents who are in business of lead receiving may find themselves selling very few houses when the market changes. Conversely, if you're actively and systematically focused on lead generating through direct prospecting and marketing, you will always be doing the best you can, even in shifting markets. The battle of lead generation versus lead receiving. Lead generating always wins, no matter what the market. If you count on the market to deliver the leads when times are good, you better count on it to take it away when times are bad. Here is a question. Think about this, write it down, whatever you need to do. Ask yourself, do you have enough leads that if you close them properly, you'll be reaching your goals? Too many leads is a good thing because then you have choices that you didn't have with not enough leads. When your lead generation methods are consistently bringing you more business than you think you can manage, then you can hire help, or you can choose the leads to work and refer the rest. That's why there's leads, listings, leverage. And I wore my shirt today from family reunion last year. Leads, listings, leverage, goal. You have to have leads first and foremost. So that was page 99 through 101 in the MREA. And I just thought that was super good, hitting on what we need to talk about today, because he's exactly right. Sometimes we skim right over and we just count on luck or referrals, and we're like, why aren't our relatives telling everybody to buy a house from us? Well, that's not necessarily building a business. That's lead receiving. Going on to page 136 in the MREA, for effective lead generation, you need to be systematic, which is frequency and consistency, and go for sheer volume. Your lead generation plan must always be more ambitious than your income goals. Emerson was right when he wrote, we aim above the mark to hit the mark. And that was never more true than when applied to lead generation. When the market shifts, conversion rates slide, interest rates increase, things happen, and you're going to need more leads than you have for your goal. Your best defense is to be offense and have a lead generation plan that surpasses your original goal. So if we, when we look at, okay, we want to make $100,000, we reverse engineer that and we say, what? We need 30 deals this year. Okay, well, what do you need to aim for? Do you need to aim for 30, or do you need to aim for above that because you're going to have a 20% fallout? You really need to aim for about 36 or 38 to ensure you hit that 30. And then if you get 36 or 38, that's gravy. That's just something, on top of it. All right, so let's get into the PowerPoint here, this lovely thing. So like I said, we're going to be going back and forth between the PowerPoint and the content and whatever tangent I feel like we need to go off on. So lucky the people that watch the recording. Let's see here. So we're going to talk about the lead generation puzzle, and that prospecting is key to that. 3 steps of prospecting, ways to connect, overcoming a limiting mindset, tracking your accountability, and that sort of thing. So there is an exercise that we're going to do. Of course, page 8. I'm on it. All right. Here's your exercise. I hope that you all have a piece of paper handy. Where are you today with your lead generation efforts? Get into habit of taking accountability for your actions and for your progress. Take time to share with us your ahas, your challenges, and your next steps. Okay, so 1 through 4. All right. This is where you write your answers down. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do it. And this is where the ahas come in. You get clarity around what you're doing. List the lead generation activities you completed during the last 24 hours. That's what you got to do. What are your ahas from those lead generation activities? What were your challenges for those lead generation activities? And what are you going to do in the next 24 hours for lead generation activities? So what have you done? What did you feel about it? And what are you going to do next? Does anybody want to share? Does anybody have any lead generation activities that they've written down, that they've completed?
Yeah, I have something written, but I don't know if it would be considered lead generation because I've followed up with a lot of leads, I guess. But after people
So
are
you conducted follow-up, which is not necessarily, it's part of lead generation, but it's not generating, having
right.
new conversations about real estate with people.
That's true.
If we don't have enough new conversations, we're not going to have enough follow-up, because once you follow up with people, you're like, okay, well, I followed up with them. It's either going to keep going or you're just going to keep following up. You need to constantly be adding in. So what are your ahas? You need to constantly be having activities that produce new conversations.
Right.
And in the next 24 hours, I would look at what you're doing and change it, adapt it to how is this going to bring me new conversations to grow my database.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here is basically, like I told you, we've cut out this course to just do the lead generation tactics, but it goes through a lot further, and you can see how prospecting, marketing, leveraging your database, and then working through these lead to your goals. So we'll be hitting on most of the high points for most of that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to do some more reading for you guys today. So this is one agent's perfect day of prospecting. All right. Bill Watson of Phoenix, Arizona has been wired for leads from his first day in real estate back in 1993. To this day, his routine has not changed. He devotes between 5 and 7 hours a day to prospecting. This is how he works. From 7 to 8, he calls expires and canceled listings. From 8 to 9, he does administrative work and lead follow-up. From 9 to 10, he calls for sale by owners. From 10 to 12, he knocks on doors. From 12 to 1, he goes to lunch. From 1 to 2, calls expired listings and returns phone calls. 2 to 3, door knock again. And after 3, go on appointments. And this is a schedule every day. It sounds like a lot, but in his first year, he sold 30 units. And he had just moved to town. It's because he was motivated and he kept his routine where he constantly every single day said the same thing. And I'm sure he got extremely tired of doing that. Let's see, Shacarol following up on her activity. She said she's made it a point to talk to at least one random stranger every place she goes. Did it today at the appointment she's at and exchange contact information. Exactly. Now, are you going enough places and seeing enough people to fill up your database? That would be the next question I ask. How can you scale that to the next? But that's a great place to start because a lot of times we're secret agents. Anyway, the point for old Bill here is that he was very systematic in what he does and what he did every day, and he was very intentional. What I see a lot of agents do that come on, they're like, you know what? I'm going to get my license, and I don't know if it's HGTV or what it is that gives us this mindset that, you know, we should just expect business because we passed our test. That's not what it is. And we don't have a storefront where people come and see us. We have got to get in conversation, in relationship with as many people as possible where we can help them with real estate needs. And that's the way we can help more people with that. And that's the way we create a big business and we have funds for our big whys and our lives that we want to live on a big level. But it takes that dedication. It takes that discipline. So what's going to make this a good training, great training experience as we're diving into the lead generation tactics? How's it going to help you? Me and you, babe.
Tactics for I guess tactics or scripts for starting the conversations with the new people, the random people.
Yeah. So conversations that you have, dialogues that you can have, where to start. You know, we talk a lot about lead generation, but specifically what is that and what is it to you? What are you going to do and dive into?
Mm-hmm.
So as we know, lead generation, it can be a puzzle, right? It's both prospecting and marketing. And that's one thing we cover in Ignite. So prospecting is seeking leads, marketing is attracting leads. And we know that one is proactive and one is passive. Which one is passive?
Marketing.
Marketing, yeah. So marketing can drive leads towards you and attract people to you with colorful words, cute logos, signs, you know, that sort of thing. And it can do that for you, but it's more of the passive. It's not going to guarantee anything. You can have, today we've had a conversation about billboards. There's a lot, some realtors around here, some companies, they have billboards. Well, am I going to stop my car and go, oh my gosh, I need to call that agent? Likely, probably not. I'm probably going to be focused on the road. So what are you doing in conjunction with your marketing that's getting you today business? Because mind share is important. But as you guys can see, those of you that have really dug in with care calls during COVID, what has had the biggest impact? Those care calls. Those care calls are the ones that you're having one-to-one conversations with people, checking in on them, seeing how they're doing. That's what's been, we've seen a lot of great results. Whereas previously, people are like, oh, I'm an agent. And they would just tell people, well, you need that connection. That's where prospecting comes in. Prospecting is a contact sport. It's up close, it's personal, and it takes a personal approach. It helps that relationship, and you're communicating directly with people offering valuable services. It's picking up the phone, sending something out, and letting the world know you're an agent and you can help them. So some agents don't like the thought of prospecting because they think it's talking somebody into doing something. And that's not the case. The case is to get face-to-face, belly-to-belly with people. And if they need your services or know someone that needs your services, that's when it comes in. And that's how you constantly grow your database. So we need the prospecting and the marketing. Where the marketing is applied to and where the prospecting is applied to, it turns into cultivated and converted appointments. And let me see, here is another, this is from MREA, page 137, and it's the strategic model for generating leads and building relationships. And so you have your allied resources, the people that you've met, your people that you haven't met but you're very interested in, and then there's the general public, and that's kind of anybody in between. So your allied resources are people that are, think about this like your cheerleaders. Like if they heard somebody talking about real estate, they're so close to you that they would go out of their way to tell somebody they need to use you, okay? Your Met group is your people that are probably aware of what you do, that may or may not be aware of what you do. But your friends on Facebook, you've maybe met at something and you know who each other are. Your target haven't met group those are the people I want to be in business with, and I'm not yet been in business with them, okay? And then there's the general public that if anybody comes along and they raise their hand and you want to do business together, that also works. So in this, the goal of your Achieve Big lead generation program is twofold: to generate leads and to build stronger relationships for future business. So that's what that model shows us, is it's a target. So here is the funnel also from MREA. And it's the older version. I know that in Ignite we have the newer, kind of more streamlined look. But I like how they've broken down the Mets and the haven't Mets. Whereas you can use the lead generation with, they said 36 touches, actually now 30. They say 33, but it's actually now 36. And you can use your CRM, which is Command, to do a lot of this to create you repeat and referral and new business. So the 8x8 builds your relationship. You've contacted them, you've met them somewhere. The people that you're exchanging contact information with, Shacarol, the random people you're having conversations with, you get their information, you put them into your database, and you put them on an 8x8, which touches them 8 times for 8 weeks to remind them that you had a conversation with them. So we want to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Your emphasis is going to be on the prospecting. What are some ways that you have prospected other than conversations with random people? What are some strategic things that you've done to prospect?
I've called expireds, um, for sale by owners. Talk to random, yeah, I guess that aside from talking to random people, but that's one of them too.
Mm-hmm. So has anybody done any door knocking or door canvassing? I know it's a little hit or miss this day and age. Shaquille said calling her sphere. That's exactly right. Typically, you would say open houses, speaking and teaching different opportunities, having seminars, booths at events, networking functions. A little is different now because of COVID. Client parties, speaking with third party companies, apartments, talking with your allied resources. Again, Tiffany, expireds for sale by owners. See, for sale by owners and expireds, they've already raised their hand saying they have a real estate need. So they're already open to the conversation. All you have to do is convince them that you're a good fit to meet their need. That's where you come through. It's going to be those active conversations. Prospecting reinforces marketing and marketing supports prospecting. The two go hand in hand together. So here is a way that prospecting reinforces marketing. So when you have your marketing material out there, you're doing your ads on Facebook, maybe you have your mailers that have gone out, whatever that looks like, it can increase your odds of business because it warms up a cold call. They've already been made aware of who you are and what you're doing. Shaquille said she's going to go back to do treat bags with her business card in them and door knock in the neighborhood. That's perfect, especially if it's your neighborhood. I mean, because then you're not necessarily soliciting. So after you mail out something like an inexpensive postcard, we can do those in command. There's a little trick with the listing, so we're working through that. To put that out there, then you can call or visit residents with this script. Hello, my name is Katie and I'm in real estate. Did you receive the postcard that I mailed out regarding your neighbor's home that's for sale, or the neighborhood market stats, or whatever that was, okay? Do you know anybody who may be interested in this home or more information about the market? So you're building on whatever you've already sent out. It would be my pleasure to provide an answer to any of your real estate questions or help someone you know. Easy as pie. Don't have to overthink it, because then that other person, what do they want? What do you want them to do? Talk, 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 talk. You know, I did have a cousin that said something about selling real estate, and then, you know, my bubble, I mean, they're going to go on, and that's what you want. And then you want to say, is it okay if we exchange information so that I can reach back out to you and give you more information, or can you send me that person's information? You're just going to, at that point, follow up. And that's the easiest thing. You've already had the conversation and committed to do something. You know they're interested, but you have to do that prospecting first. The marketing validates your prospecting. So if you do door knocking and then they see your ad or then they get your mailer, it works the same way in reverse. They feel like they know you at this point. You've already had a conversation with them. Marketing, an example of marketing with the McKissick team, Linda and Jimmy McKissick had a picture sent out. It was a mailer where they're doing the thumbs up, and people would see them out in public and give them the thumbs up.
That's cute.
So they knew, you know, you are part of my farming area. You got my mailer where we sent out market stats and we have a picture of ourselves with a thumbs up. So they learned that people are connecting the dots with what you're sending out. And that's why your message and your method have to match, right? We talked about that in Ignite too. You don't want to just be doing some obscure something every time you post something. It needs to have a clear, common message. All right, lead generation with the prospecting. The prospecting and the marketing. Marketing can be expensive. We have a lot of affordable tools that we can use with Keller Williams, but it could really get to, once you start branding yourself and putting things out there, it can cost more money. whereas prospecting is a minimal cost. It's depending on what you would like to spend. You can get really creative and do some really cute things for door knocking or drop bys or pop ins or anything like that. And then with time and effort, though, for prospecting, that's going to be your maximum. You're going to spend more time than money, whereas marketing, you might not spend so much time, but you're going to spend a lot more money. It's going to be, it can be pricey. And so with all of the creative things that we could be doing in prospecting, I think it just takes us taking the time and effort and making it a priority to do. That way you can invest your time now to invest your revenue when you are generating more revenue. You can prospect today with very little. Literally yourself can go door knocking today with no money. All you need is time. You can have a list of people in your phone, have a neighborhood that you live in. You can begin right now. And that's why I'm glad we started with this one, to show this is attainable today. So here is a slide from Family Reunion, and it goes a little bit into the touches, and I know we're going to go deeper into that with the Breakthrough Mastermind next week. But I really liked how it's talking about your prospects are your leads, and then where does your contacts go? So you need to touch someone, at least studies show, 19 times, having at least a one-way conversation until they're going to be willing to, and that goes back to that large target. The outside ring is the general public, that maybe they don't have a connection to you in any way. So you're going to at least need to touch them 19 times before they're going to be willing to refer you or have a conversation with you. So that's why in these touches it says 19. And then once you're already met, they're in your met group, it's going to take 36 to convert them. What are your ahas from this on cultivating the relationship?
I think mine would be as far as leads. I know it's always good to nurture your contacts, but never thought about nurturing your leads that way.
My aha when I saw this was it's super important and can be life or death of my business if I don't get this figured out for what am I going to do. So the quarterly calls, that's for everybody, right? Everybody needs to be talked to every 3 months. And in COVID, it almost feels like every 3 days because we don't know what's happening, right? People need that more than ever. But then the other, like, we cannot leave off one aspect of this. And it's so important that we're implementing this, and prospecting is a key part of this with the getting together and seeing people and doing the face-to-face. That is very important that you're being proactive in that.
Katie, would you put your leads in command?
Yes.
Even though it's only like you don't really have permission yet, but you kind of want to keep up with the follow-up.
What leads are you talking about? Opcity leads?
Or any lead, because I was thinking like at one point maybe I should only put like contacts in, but
no, you're putting everybody in there and then you're touching everybody until you get referred business or direct business. That's the whole goal of the database. And there's going to be people that you never make contact with.
Okay.
You know, Jenny the other day was talking about the reverse fold she did.
Mm-hmm.
She had people in her database for 15 years that they'd never had a conversation with, but when they did the reverse fold,
Mm-hmm.
they were able to have a conversation with them.
Gotcha.
The idea is with that data, you're collecting the data, because if they're in your database, you're building a moat around your business. They're not as likely to go use somebody else or refer somebody else.
Gotcha.
You want to put them in your database and put them on your smart plans. So if they think real estate, they're going to use you.
And if it's a lead, you're pretty much going to be contacting them with whatever method you have at that time. So if it's just a number, you'll call.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And when you're first talking to somebody, that's why the buyer consultation and the pre-listing and all of it goes through. Can I get all your contact information? Like, I want to get your phone number. I want to get your email. I want to get your street address. because that way you can do all of the touches very easily.
Got it. Okay.
You can call them quarterly, and it may just be leave a voicemail, but they're hearing you voice to voice. You can send out emails, and they may not open the emails, but Bed Bath & Beyond sends me a 20% off every single day. I mean, it's not hurting anything, but they're seeing your name, they're seeing, yourself. And then the mailer, that's going to come in the mail. So you're touching them a lot of different ways so that you can be top of mind when they have a real estate need or know somebody with a real estate need. They're like, oh, that sweet girl Tiffany, she's always sending me something in the mail. She's always, every holiday, every back to school, she sends me emails about the market. That's the purpose.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so we have another exercise. So, all right, where are you with your prospecting and marketing? How much time each day, week, month, or year do you devote to prospecting? How much money do you spend on daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly for marketing? And then this will allow you to see whether your lead generation is prospecting based.
So on a daily, how many amount of time? So I like to devote my morning. So I guess you could say 8 to 12. If but there's like always some things that come up. So I try to replace that time. But I don't spend a lot of money on marketing. So
Would you say that you're prospecting based or marketing based?
definitely prospecting based with social media.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be some marketing, and like you said, that needs to go hand in hand. You don't need one without the other.
Yeah.
But this is the point making here is if you go back and we're looking at, do we have enough leads that if we converted them, we would hit our goal? Well, if the answer is no, then what do we need to do? We need to look at how much time we're spending and devoting to doing these things and adjust accordingly. Because we have 90 days, right? We have 90 days till our last contract can be written and closed in this year. It's very important that we take this time and we go after it. We put our foot on the gas and we do not stop. And we have to be that intense and that committed to make sure we're doing it. And that's what these exercises are about. It's not about, oh my gosh, you spent 2 hours yesterday, an hour today, and 4 hours. It's not about judgment. It's about looking at where you're spending your time and where your results are and looking at the gap so that you can fix it, not so that there's anything wrong. It's not about being wrong. It's just about learning best practices and using them to increase your business and increase your life. Okay. There's going to be some myths about prospecting, okay? So, myth 1, prospecting equals cold calling and cold calling equals rejection. Cody Gibson does he does a lot of speaking engagements, but one thing he's talked about that really struck me is he was like, agents ask me all the time, how do I deal with rejection? And he's like, I don't see someone telling me they don't want to do business with me as rejection. It's all about perspective. He said, I went into foster care. My mom, didn't want me growing up. My wife left me. My kids, he went through all these personal things. And he says, okay, that's what I see as rejection. When I'm having a conversation with someone because I'm a professional and that's my job to do that, and they don't want to do business with me, that's not rejection, right? Because you're prospecting, you're meeting people, you're building relationships. That's you creating a business. It's not about somebody rejecting you. And that just always struck me because I was like, you know what? That's true. And that's a limiting belief we put on ourselves saying that's rejection. True rejection is very hurtful. Someone saying they don't want to do business with you. And you know what? Oftentimes they don't even say that. That's all in our head. I've never had somebody say, Katie, stop talking to me about real estate. I don't want to, except my husband, because I talk about real estate a lot. But I don't want to hear another thing. Don't tell me about the marketing stats or the value of my home. I don't care about that. People don't say that, right? So stop worrying about that. That's not something to be worried about. Myth number 2, prospecting means contacting people you don't know. Go back to our target. There's a lot of people on here that you have met, your allied resources, your MET group. So it means contacting people you know as well as those you don't know. It doesn't mean getting, what was it, like T-Mobile or Domino's when the sign people came out? Like, you don't have to do that. You just need to have conversations with people you know, contacting your sphere of influence, contacting the people that are in your Facebook group, Instagram, all of that. You already have some sort of tie and relationship to them. It doesn't mean getting the phone book and calling through the numbers. Not necessarily, although you could, and you might want to. But that's up to you. Myth number 3, prospecting is what you do to launch your business. Only new agents have to prospect. That is so not true. You want new business? This is what it takes. Prospecting is what you do to keep your real estate business running and growing. You should never stop prospecting. Always have to be filling the funnel. Always have to be filling the pipeline. All right, so I went through all of those much too quickly. Y'all, this binder is challenging. It doesn't want to work right. Okay, so here are some statistics from the National Association of Realtors. And again, this may have changed, but I feel like the basis of it probably has not since this was written. Okay, so how people choose an agent, all right? People use an agent who've contacted them. That's 4% of buyers and sellers. People have used an agent referred to them by a friend, relative, or neighbor. That's 40% of buyers and 38% of sellers. And only 12% and 22% use the same agent as they used before. So a lot of people, that leaves a lot of people that can be taken advantage of through prospecting so that you can have conversations with them who don't already have a realtor. I think sometimes we get it in our head, people, already have a realtor, and that's not the case. The number 2 here is a big aha. Are you asking your friends, relatives, and neighbors to refer you business? Because it's a huge opportunity. That's a huge opportunity. This number of 12 and 22%, oftentimes they can't even remember their agent's name that they used. So this is a great opportunity for you to, 1, keep your past clients in your database, and 2, be on the lookout for orphaned clients, people that you've done a deal with and you notice maybe that client and that agent don't have a great relationship with them. A couple weeks later, send a notice, do a drive-by and say, hey, I just want to welcome you to this home. It was a pleasure doing business, making sure you're settling in. There's nothing wrong with that. Because once you start having a conversation with that person and they go, oh, thank you so much, you were so kind, blah, blah, blah. Would you mind if I, your home is very important to know the value. Would you mind if I mail occasionally market stats? I do that for this neighborhood. What are they going to say? No, they're probably not. So keep your eye out for things like that, because you always want to be growing your database. That's part of it. Thinking outside of the normal cold calling. That's what we really want to show when we're looking at ways to prospect. It's not just about cold calling and being miserable doing something. So how people choose you based on your prospecting. Okay, so the haven't met says people that you contact that you don't know. We've already talked about this. Met, you contact people that you know and you ask them to refer you business. And then past customers, you contact them and ask them for repeat business. Easy peasy. All right, the 5 benefits of prospecting. We've already talked about this. It's inexpensive and it yields immediate results. It puts you in control of filling your pipeline. It increases your confidence and skill. Shacarol Are you able to talk? She may not be able to talk. Tiffany, how much more confident are you now versus beginning of the year having conversations with people about real estate?
Oh, much more comfortable. I think when I first started, I would talk so fast. I would try to remember everything, but now everything kind of flows so easily.
Well, now it becomes, you're comfortable with it. So it's a conversation. You're not like sales pitching, like, I'm Tiffany Alexander and I could be a realtor and I could sell your things. And you're like,
yeah.
How are you? And then you're listening. That's what it becomes more, you're becoming more skilled. Mm-hmm. Prospecting yields quantity leads, which yields quality. Don't get so focused on, and that's some conversations I've been having with people about leads is, I just don't have any good leads. Fill your pipeline and fill your database so full. The good ones are going to come up, but it doesn't mean you wash away the bad ones. Because did any of you guys get your license to get out of real estate next year? You didn't say, you know what, I'm going to try this for 6 months. I'm going to dip out. No, you got your license to build a business. You partnered with KW to build a business on a huge franchise with all the tools and systems. And so put a lead in your database because that's going to be your business. That doesn't have to be tomorrow, and it doesn't have to be 3 months from now. So the most quantity leads to quality. You need both quantity and quality, and the quality will come up the more leads you get. The fishermen, they cast their net wide as possible, and that's what we need to do. Prospecting keeps you in direct contact with the market, and it protects against market shifts. From that segment I read from MREA, and then what I read yesterday from Shift, all boats float in a high tide. But, that's not a skilled captain. And so when the market is good, you're going to be great. Anybody can trip over a deal and do it. It's when it's not that you're going to have to protect yourself and have a business that can operate at a high level and you have enough leads to go on. So it's going to protect you that it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. You know enough people that want to buy and sell that you can help them do that. Okay. Write down a recap of the 5 benefits of prospecting. Then prioritize them for yourself. Of the 5 that we just talked about, what were the 5 benefits of prospecting, and how do you prioritize that from yourself? I'll go back over them. Don't tell anybody. Prospecting is inexpensive. It yields immediate results. It puts you in control of filling your pipeline. It increases your confidence and skill. It yields quantity leads, which yields quality leads, and it keeps you in direct contact with the market and protects against market shifts. So how are those items priority to you? What's the most beneficial to you?
For me, probably, okay, so quantity leads, I think, because I never thought about it like that, just to get as many as you can, and then you can always weed out. I think I do a lot of nurturing of like not enough. Mm-hmm. So yeah, quantity leads for me.
I heard it said, I can't even remember where I was, maybe a mastermind breakout at family reunion, mega camp, somewhere where there was just like, the people in this room were like $100 million producers and stuff. And they were talking about a lot of agents that they had talked to. And the trouble comes when you hear an agent say, my buyer, my seller, because what does that mean? Singular. Mm-hmm. And then all the problems come with my buyer, my seller, or it's not, I've seen sellers doing this, or I've seen buyers doing this, because all the weight, when you have 1 or 2 and 1 or 2 falls out, yep. What do you have?
That's true.
You don't have enough. And so that's why, top producers, it's a game to them. They want to grab as many leads as possible, as many different ways, put them in their database and touch them systematically. And they're doing it on such a big scale that they're getting enough quality. And that's where I think that's where we mistake. Oh, well, we've got to do one or two and just, no, do enough, create your system, figure out what you want to do, have your 36 touch, and literally every person gets the same thing. And then you're filling up your pipeline. Then you have a pipeline to look at and say, okay, these people are here, these people are here, and you know your action items. But when you have one or two and they're not going anywhere, you're kind of like, would y'all do something? You're like frustrated because maybe those one or two people are not at a place. Well, that means we need more people. It's not those people's problem. We just need enough of the other people. Like Dennis Russell said, the Bold coach recently, he said, how many deals do you need to do this year to meet your goal? Is it 20? Is it 10? Is it 5? Okay, well, how many deals are going to be done this year in real estate? A couple thousand? So you don't need a couple thousand. You just need enough to meet your goal, whether it's 5, 10, or 20. Could you, out of, I don't know, 20,000 deals, find 20? Oh yeah, there's enough people that need to buy or sell. We just have to be in conversation and relationship with those people, which means sometimes we're going to have more than necessary because we want to make sure that we understand there's going to be a fallout. And Lord, with lending right now, you're going to have to count on it because everything has changed so much with COVID. They are getting a lot more strict. Okay, the 3 steps to prospecting. There's your approach, your connect, and then your ask. Step 1 on the approach, you're going to have the right mindset to approach somebody, right? Be proactive. Don't wait for somebody to come to you. When you're out in public, don't go, oh, I hope they walk up to me and ask me about real estate, because they're probably not going to do that. Unless you're wearing a sign, carrying a sign, and doing a giveaway and saying, come ask me and I'll give you, a gift card or something. The likelihood of them wanting to talk to you about real estate on their own is very small. Be willing to break the ice. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? I like that ice cream too when you're at the grocery store. Be friendly, caring, and most importantly, real. Be curious about them and their concerns. Be ready to give positive feedback. Be confident in your pace and posture. Not, we talked about, I'm Tiffany Alexander, a real estate agent. I can help you. Mm-hmm. What? You're scaring me, please. Breathe and be ready to connect. So be prepared to exchange. How are you going to go about exchanging information with somebody? Okay. They're probably going to be like, cool, thanks. It's on you to connect with them. They're probably not going to say, oh, hey, Tiffany, can I get your number? And you want their number. Be ready to have that figured out. If you're going to share the app, know how to do that so you're not fumbling around. If you're going to follow up, share the app. You know what? I'm going to follow up with you next week. Does that sound good? Great. Have that. Be ready with that. Connect. Be a giver. Always come from contribution. We are huge on that at KW. There are takers and there are givers. You always want to be a giver. So a taker is somebody who talks, withholds, looks for easy, responds when they're ready, and expects you to follow them. A taker also wings it and has reaction. Whereas a giver listens, offers, takes pride in their work, responds quickly if someone communicates back with you, offers guidance, is prepared, gives service, and can anticipate what's to come. All right, how to connect. After you've approached someone, ask for their name, show that you care, offer compliments, be curious, and introduce the topic of real estate. It can be very easy as, I am Katie. I'm the team leader at KW Montgomery, the best real estate company in Montgomery. any way you want to introduce it, and then it's care, concern, common sense, right? We're not going to say, I'm Katie, I work at KW Montgomery, and do you want to buy and sell a house? That's not going to build the relationship. You always want to ask open-ended questions, ask them about their life and their interests, and connect with Ford. Does anybody remember what Ford is? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. How's your family? How's your job? What do you do for fun? And what do you want to do? Right now, everybody's mad because their vacation was canceled. So that's, a topic to bring up. Man, summer's almost over. Wish we could have gone to the beach. Then they're going to open up and talk about whatever it is they wanted to talk about. But you get to learn more about people with the simple Ford method. All right. So we don't really have enough people to do this. So Tiffany, you and I can do a role play.
Okay.
All right. I'm somebody that you saw at Publix and you want to talk to me about real estate.
Okay. Hey, Katie, how are you? Am I calling you?
I'm a stranger.
Oh, okay.
I'm a stranger.
And I'm calling you on the phone?
No, you saw me at Publix. We met. We're in
Publix.
Yeah, we're in Publix.
Oh, yeah.
I'm your random stranger today. Where is Shakira? She needs to get on here and talk to us like she talks to her randomers. How about this? Are you ready? You gonna do it?
I don't know.
What I like to do is, especially if somebody has a kid, right? And you're standing in line, you're waiting to check out. Uh-huh. Oh, hey, cutie, or, a little compliment for the child. They're typically trying to climb over the candy rack or something. Oh, hey, haha. And then you strike up a conversation with the parent, hey, how are you today? Good. I'm Katie with KW. How are you, are everything going okay? Yeah. Okay. Well, when I said real estate, okay, well, how's the market? That's what everybody says. How's the market? Well, it's a seller's market right now. So if you know anybody looking to sell, now is a perfect time because they are flying off MLS. Oh, really? That's kind of how it goes. Oh, really? Yes, it is incredible. Multiple offer situations left and right. We can barely get them listed. Oh, would you like more information? I could share my app with you. Oh, you have an app? Yeah, here, I would love to share this with you. I'll follow up next week and see what you thought about that app. Check it out. It's really cool. It doesn't have to be like a formal, situation where you're uncomfortable and the person's uncomfortable. Just as if you were going to say hello to somebody, what would you say?
Right.
Be sure to not leave out real estate.
I think my biggest thing is like pivoting to the real estate part, because
well,
you have that initial.
Typically somebody's going to ask, how's the market, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can make, hey, I'm Tiffany, realtor at KW Montgomery, and I am crazy busy helping people with their buying and selling needs. Uh-huh. Just you could do some little quick, so it's not pushy, but it's bringing up the topic.
Now, how would you introduce that if you were in a grocery store? How would you introduce that real estate part to the person you're talking to?
Well, if we're standing in line or waiting somewhere, somebody's typically, when I mention real estate, it's my experience, they always say, oh, how's the market? I don't know why, but they do. And then
is it because they see your badge, or are you letting them know?
Well, you can see your badge, or I just said, I'm a realtor at KW.
Okay.
That's why I like to throw it in besides just saying I'm Katie. I like to say I'm Katie, a realtor at KW. Okay. People do get a lot of, you'll hear both sides of people saying, oh, I love to wear my badge because I don't go anywhere without it because people ask me about it. Mm-hmm. If that works for you, maybe try it out and see if that makes, changes anything. I think part of it is you just have to be willing to open up and have the conversation. It's going to become more comfortable. It's got some questions. I don't know that I would bump into a stranger and ask them what's the last book they read. But you could, I think it'd be easy enough to bring up, man, school year's about to start. summer's already over. That, I think that would be an easy, because then somebody's going to say, man, oh yeah, we had a Disney cruise planned, or we're planning on going to the beach, but things are so crazy. You're just opening up the conversation. So whatever you can think of to continue the conversation other than, hey, you want to say more than that. And the real win is when they give you permission to get their information.
Gotcha.
A good way to do that, if you're getting to that point with somebody, instead of giving them your card, say you're going to share your app and you're going to follow up to see what they thought about it, because that's a pretty easy opening. All right, so ask for their business, an appointment, or a referral. You've already had a conversation, they're interested, they're excited to talk to you about real estate. So you can say, I'm available to have a consultation with you. I've got these times available. Would this work, or would this be better? And then, if they're not ready for the appointment, please let your friends and family know. I'd be honored to help them with the real estate needs. That's just another prompt of you're looking for the referral. And then ask them, if they want to be kept up to date with the real estate needs in this area or in their neighborhood or wherever you're at. Just always be putting that in the forefront. And then when you're trying to get contact information, that can be a little bit tricky too. But if there's something I can send to you, I love to send out a little thank you and market information. Where's the best place for me to send that? That's where you can get their mailing address. Or I like to send out holiday cards. Would it be okay if I sent you out a holiday card? Okay, could I get your address? And you're putting that all into command. The ways to connect is a call, visit, attend, or host events. So when you're calling, you need to know who you're calling. Expired listings, for sale by owners, referrals, IVR inquiries, I don't know what that is, website inquiries, or your MET, so people that are in your database and that you're just doing your quarterly call on. IVR is interactive voice response, and that doesn't give me any more information than that was. We learned something today, guys. I don't know what that is, the IVR. A lot of people like to use a sort of system like SlideDial or something like that. When you got a big enough database that you don't have enough time to call through each one, you basically you record a message and you say, hey, I'm Katie at KW, just checking in. Wanted to let you know that the market's hot. Now's a perfect time to sell. If you know of anybody thinking of selling, please give us a call at blah, blah, blah. And it basically just goes directly into their voicemail. So the people will get a voice touch from you. It's a system that you pay for, or a dialer system where you have people in your database already in there and you literally just call through and it dials for you. So you don't have call bias. You just literally are sitting there calling. Whatever your message is that day, whatever your script is, check-ins, whatever, then you're making notes based on what everybody said. And then knowing when to call. Don't call somebody at dinner time at 10 p.m. at 7 a.m. I had a guy this weekend, Saturday actually, somebody knocked on my door at 8 a.m. And I'm still trying to get my 2-year-old to like chill in front of the cartoons. I'm not wanting to be alert at 8 a.m. because it's not a weekday. Knock, knock, knock. I'm like, still in my pajamas. I'm looking out the window. I thought for a second, it was like the mail person and whatever it was, they didn't want to put it on the step. They wanted to hand it to me. So I cracked the door and he went into his script. And it was kind of a young kid, probably early 20s. He goes into his script and I'm like, excuse me, are you trying to sell me something? He was like, yes, ma'am, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps on with his script. And I am like visibly irritated in my pajamas. I got a 2-year-old hanging on my leg. And I'm like, now is not a good time. So clearly nobody has had the conversation. Don't come knocking on someone's door early Saturday morning to do your door-to-door sales. know when it's appropriate to call and door knock. I think Taisha mentioned during our Ignite, she likes to go on Saturdays when people are already out in their yard, kind of doing things, Saturday mornings, especially now that yard sales are back in. That's a good time to have a conversation with somebody. They're already comfortable out and about, willing to talk, right?
Mhm.
So, and then the different level of leads. So cold calls, clearly somebody you don't know at all. The warm is people maybe you've met and you've talked to before, you're following up with them. And then hot is somebody that, hey, Tiffany, call my friend Susan, she's ready to sell. That's going to be a hot lead. That's somebody ready to go, and all you got to do is have the conversation. Let's see. Hey, my name is Katie. I work with KW Montgomery. I work with a lot of buyers and sellers in the area, and I was wondering how much time you will take before you consider interviewing the right agent for you. So that's a for sale by owner person, right? How long are you going to list this by yourself? And then visiting goes the same with calling. So you're visiting through door knocking, you're visiting for sale by owners, expireds, people in your neighborhood or a geographic area that you're farming, people that live in an apartment. Be careful with that because they have some no solicitation. Homeowners around the open house you're going to host, that's completely fine. If you are in a neighborhood with an HOA with no soliciting, you need to get permission from the seller to invite their neighbors. Be sure you do that. Builders, bankers, corporations, anybody you run into anywhere, like the grocery store. Don't come at 7 in the morning on Saturday. You want to join organizations and groups like the Chamber of Commerce, the Homeowners Association, especially the one in your own neighborhood, builders associations, BNI networks, things like that, so that you can, Rotary clubs, so you can get involved and engaged in the community. And you can host events. Right now, there's been a lot on KW Connect of the online events that you can host, such as game night or first-time home buyer seminars. That's a perfect thing to advertise and invite people to. Customer appreciation parties or drop-bys or community events. Okay, let's see. Here's another exercise. So on this exercise, what are your current and planned prospecting activities? So are there things that you need, organizations you need to join, or events you need to host? What are those things based on what we just talked about that you can engage in to help your prospecting? This says fill out on the table on page 61, but literally it just says write out things you can join or things that you can host. If you're involved in a gym, if you're involved in your PTA, all of those ways are organizations to connect and network. All right, our last part is the overcoming limiting mindset. So we can definitely have a limiting mindset when it comes to having conversations with strangers and all of that. So it's possible though to overcome and have a good mindset. Okay. When you get calls from people and you get the sales call, you're definitely annoyed and you never want to be that person when you're calling. So it's always good to make sure that one, you're listening and coming from contribution when you're having conversation. But two, knowing that you're in the mindset and you're not just trying to sell something from somebody. So we can say affirmations that say positive things about yourself, about what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, I think we mentioned, you know, I'm doing this for my family. That's a good affirmation. Or I want to take my kids to Disney World, and so I need 100 leads in my database and my pipeline full and ready to go, 6 transactions. That helps realize what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it gives you a better attitude. So there's an exercise that is asking us in this to write down 3 to 5 affirmations that you have that are going to help you do your prospecting activities, right? So that way you can look at them and know and say them before you do your prospecting activities, because it can be a little nerve-wracking, and we can, tell ourselves different stories that limit us instead of increase our business and increase our productivity. So based on this 36-12-3, it's blocking 3 hours daily for lead generation. And what that means is literally having that in your calendar so nothing else happens. If you're not lead generating, then you're not working. Look at it like if you were hiring yourself and part of your work was lead generating, would you actually pay yourself or would you fire yourself? Making sure first and foremost that's what you're going to do. And you're going to have to time block, put that in your calendar. What are the things that I'm going to do today? In our breakthrough mindset, our breakthrough mastermind, we're creating that GPS. From the GPS, which is our priorities and our strategies, what are we going to do for 3 hours every day? I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, 3 hours. Listen, it's only 3 hours out of your day to build the future for the rest of your life. But what are you going to do specifically in those 3 hours? Some ways that you can time block are assembling a call list, preparing for your drop-bys or handouts, the things that you're going to pop by. Prepare and mail your invitations for events or your postcards, making your phone calls, knocking on doors, hosting and attending events. The list goes on and on and on. You want to make sure that you are purposeful in your time. So here is a way, a little tracking system. I think I've shared some other ones with you guys before. What are you doing in that time? Number of calls, number of contacts, and number of METs added to your database. In Ignite, we talk about the daily 10-4, and this is similar to that. So how many people are you adding to your database? How many contacts are you making? And then with the prospecting, what specifically prospecting are you doing during those calls? And then for the accountability, I think everybody on this call has a coach, but is the coach, are you meeting with them regularly? Are they helping you achieve your goals? And are they putting you on the path to success? It's very important. All right, so what are your ahas from today's conversation? Well, I guess you guys were so busy taking notes that you are just can't even